up in teams, probably about 20 across. We don't want you to lock arms, but we want you to stay, go like this, y'all. We want you to stay and shoulder length, because this is a pandemic going on, right? And we want everybody to have their mask on. And so the streets will not be all the way blocked off. So there's only so many, sometimes we might have to scoot in. So we just want to be mindful that when they ask you to move over, just comply, okay? If there's an incident with anyone else and you see somebody out of order, put your hand up, talk to one of the folks with orange or blue shirts on, and let us handle it, okay? Just identify this person is a problem so that we know, okay? We don't want anyone to say that this march was not orderly done. We've done the work, and we're asking you respectfully to respect what we're doing. And of course, nothing rowdy is going to happen here because we're on sacred ground. If you look back behind you, that's the grave site of Martin Luther King and Bernice Albertine.
All right.
And if you look at that statue, you remember that statue? Right. The only thing greater than yourself, right? We're going to respect this process today. I want to bring up our council member. Okay. All right, we're going to start off nice, okay, cameraman? All right, we all going to act right today. Cameraman, police, protesters. We're going to act right today, all of us, respectfully. Right? This is respectfully. We asked you to bring and wear your Sunday best if you chose to, because back in the movement, they came dressed because they wanted them to know that they were serious about their business. And they wanted to look a certain way. And we also want you to conduct yourself a certain way. Can we do that? Yeah. It's all right. Okay, so Council Member Antonio Brown, come on up.
Is it afternoon yet? Morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. It's an honor and a privilege to stand with you all. Thank you to Georgia Stand Up, Deborah Scott. Thank you for helping us organize and put this together. You know, we've been marching for about a week now in this city, lifting our voices. And for me, you know, this message is bigger than the elected officials. This message is bigger than our government. This message is bigger than ourselves. This message is about justice. What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
I want to make mention of some incredible people that came together to make this happen today. First, I would like to acknowledge all of the elected officials. We have members of the Atlanta City Council. We have Councilmember Michael Julian Bond. We have Councilmember Jennifer Ide, Councilmember Andre Dickens, Councilmember Matt Westmoreland. We have Commissioner Natalie Hall, Representative Park Cannon, Senator Nikema Williams. We have a special guest that I will wait to announce. And we have Mr. Anthony Irby, who not only reached out to organize this event, but thought it was so important that this event was peaceful. And for me, that is so important because I've been marching with the AUC students. We've been marching with our young people in this city. And one thing that we've all stood by and in alliance with is that we can march peacefully.
Say it again.
And not only can we march peacefully in this city, but we can march with organization with structure, and with a plan of action. What is the point of marching if we do not have solutions? What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
I want to make mention to some of our sponsors. We have Commissioner Natalie Hall. She stepped up and provided some of the waters, some of the Gatorades. We have the District Attorney, Keith Gamage, who helped us with the hand sanitizers. Solicitor Keith Gamage, that helped with the hand sanitizers, our masks. There were a ton of sponsors that came together. Councilmember Amir Faroqi is with us today, standing. We're in his district, by the way. So shout out to Councilmember Amir Faroqi, who assisted us to make this possible today. We have Thomas Reynolds from the Georgia Alliance of African American Attorneys. We have Dr. Rashad Ritchie that is standing with us. And you know, what I think is important, and if you look around, there are people standing here today from all cultures, all backgrounds, all environments and conditions, because we are standing together as one united people fighting against the injustices in this city, in this state, and in this country. And that's an important message. I want to leave you with one thing. We are standing here today in peace. If you are not standing in peace with us, I ask that you leave now. And if you see someone that is not standing in peace and united with us, acknowledge, raise your hand. We have a structured system in which we are marching in. We have marshals. We have Deborah Scott, who will be speaking to the order of this march today. She will also go over the route and the home rules for today. We have Council President Felicia Moore. That's here. We have Reverend Warnock, who is coming to give us the invocation. And Lord knows it's hot out here because I am drenching. We have Reverend Warnock, who is giving us the invocation today. Followed with the invocation, we're going to have some speakers come up and talk about the history. And I'm super excited about all of the speakers that are going to be raising awareness and one united voice. You know, listen, this is what we've been marching for. This is the purpose, right? We are going to continue to gather. I got a call from the governor's office today. And, you know, the governor recognizes we will not stop protesting until there is justice.
Say that again. Say that again.
He recognizes that. They are putting a task force together.
No more task force.
And I am working with them on this task force that's going to address
just legislation,
policy, okay? Things that we can move into tangible action to address the systemic injustices that have been plaguing not just our city, not just Metro Atlanta, but the entire state of Georgia. We will be addressing excessive force and the use of excessive force. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to the mic a man that I'm inspired by, that has been in this fight for over 30 years. And, you know, he's the pastor of Ebenezer Church. And he's just an amazing man. And without further ado, Dr. Raphael Warnock.
Good morning, sisters and brothers.
Good morning.
Welcome to the campus of the Ebenezer Baptist Church. I want to thank this young leader, Councilman Antonio Brown, for bringing us together and for telling the whole crowd that I've been doing this for 30 years. It makes me sound old. I was asked to pray, and I'm going to do that. But there is a Ghanaian proverb that says, when you pray, move your feet. The great Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said that when he marched with Dr. King in Selma, he felt like his legs were praying. So we need praying legs and praying lips. We need to pray while we move our feet. So I want to thank all of you for being here. I especially want to thank the young sisters and brothers who are leading us in this movement. Come on, give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, you can do better than that. Let the world know you're here. Let the world know you're here.
Yo!
And we're not going anywhere until you get justice, until we get justice. I want you to know that you are standing here today as part of a grand and noble tradition. Our nation was conceived in liberty, founded in protest. And without protest, we've never been able to expand the meaning of liberty in our country. Patrick Henry, that great patriot, stood up amidst the Revolutionary War and he said, "Give me liberty or give me death." Somebody has asked, I wonder what he would have said if his slave had said, "Me too." And so we come again to say to America, me too. That if some of us are not free, none of us are free.
Amen.
So I want to encourage you to stand up for the best in the American tradition. Stand up for justice and stand up for freedom and stand up for this noble idea, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. And we've been dealing with the complexities of this American experiment for a long time. There's a way in which America is a great paradox. I stand here as a young man, I think I'm still pretty young.
You looking sharp, brother, looking sharp.
Running for the United States Senate.
All right.
And it's not lost on me that I could be running for the United States Senate because I grew up in public housing, in the housing projects of Savannah, Georgia. I stand now in King's Pulpit, but I shall never forget that I grew up in Caden Homes housing projects. That's the promise of America. But the paradox of America is that while somebody like me is able to run for the United States Senate, George Floyd still found himself on the ground saying over and over and over again, "I can't breathe." And we've gathered this morning to say with him that we are marching in these streets because we can't breathe. Somebody asked me yesterday, what was it like to preach following the death this week of George Floyd? I told them that was an easy question. It was just like the day I preached after the death of Trayvon Martin and the death of Michael Brown and the death of Tatiana Jefferson and the death of Botham Jean and the death of Tamir Rice and the death of Sandra Bland and the death of Eric Garner, who said, "I can't breathe." We've been here too many times. And I want us to be really clear. We are focused on police brutality, but don't limit the conversation to that. There's a reason why we find ourselves here over and over again. It is because we experienced in 1980, beginning in 1980, a great backlash against everything that Dr. King was trying to do. The United States of America, the land of the free, is the incarceration capital of the world. Nobody comes close. We warehouse 25% of the world's prisoners. And anytime you build a monstrosity of a carceral state, a prison industrial complex that size, it's got to eat, and this system eats brown and black bodies. So we have to stand up and fight for the best in the American tradition. And the reason why it's so hard to fight against this system is because we have too many connections between those who are supposed to represent us and those who are paying for them. It's the reason why we can't deal with reasonable gun reform. It's the reason why we haven't expanded Medicaid in this state. It's the reason why we find ourselves here over and over and over again. Because we have the best politicians that money can buy, and it's time we have some elected officials who are more focused on the next generation than they are on the next election. And so let me say, they told me that my time is winding up, but I preach here every Sunday. I want you to keep standing up. Don't let anybody discourage you. Stand up in nonviolence, stand up with dignity, but keep standing up. And don't let anybody tell you that you got to be quiet because you're a young person. Your voice matters.
Amen.
And so as I close, sometimes I get discouraged. When I get discouraged, I look up. And because I'm a preacher, I'd like to tell you that I see something amazing and profound, the hand of God riding across the deep. But more often than not, I just see birds flying by. But I like to see geese because geese fly in a V formation. And the one out front that's getting all the glory and the light is actually working the hardest. But what I like about geese is that when the one out front gets tired, he just rotates to the back. And she moves up and takes his place. And geese do that without a war. They do that without a fight.
They do it naturally.
They do that without one part of the geese formation deciding to shut the whole geese government down, because geese understand that my individual location is not as important as our collective destination. So keep marching together and keep praying together.
Amen.
And keep working together and keep struggling together, and together we will win. God, we give you praise. We give you thanks for this great gathering of our collective humanity. We thank you for our commitment to the high ideals of freedom. Use us now. Use us as instruments of your peace, your love, and justice in the earth, in the name of the God who loves us into freedom and frees us into loving. Amen.
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
So, I'm preparing to introduce someone that needs no introduction. Without further ado, please help me bring to the stage Dr. Bernice King.
All right.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
My father reminded us that true peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. These United States of America will continue to witness what you are doing in this nation, which is ruffling the feathers of those who have sat in silence and indifference since my father's assassination and since the slaying of Trayvon Martin all the way through George Floyd.
Floyd, yes. I want to thank you all on the behalf of the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King for not letting up, for not giving up, for your tenacity, for your strength, for your resilience, for your determination to ensure that we have justice and equity in this nation. My mother said, struggle is a never-ending process. Freedom is never really won. You earn it and you win it in every generation. You in this generation are earning and winning this freedom struggle and this justice struggle. And because of you, we have now seen the arrest and the charging of those 4 police officers.
Finally.
No justice, no peace. But that is just the beginning, because justice is much larger than that. We know that this is just the beginning of a turnaround. And as I stand here today and I think about his 6-year-old daughter, I was her one day. I was 5 when my father was assassinated. And I know the pain and the anguish of losing a father so senselessly to gun violence. And so I stand here recognizing that you are perpetuating a movement that began before most of you all were born. This is the continuation. And I want to say to you that what is happening here across these streets in the United States of America is reverberating across the world. This is a global movement for justice and equity and freedom for all of God's children, and to recognize that Black lives once and for all matter.
All right.
Not one day, but every single solitary day. There's a fierce urgency of now. And I want you to know that you have gotten some people leaning in and listening. I've been in many conversations with people who have finally awakened. You have awakened so many people in this nation. But the danger is if we lay back like we've done in the past when they sprinkle a few little dollars at us.
Facts.
We appreciate the money that many corporations are investing in the justice movement across this nation. But money is not enough until white corporate America begins to deal with the internal systemic racism in their corporations. Money is not enough when my brothers and sisters in the white evangelical church have refused to lift their voices and join our justice movement. Investing money in these social justice organizations is not enough if we continue to invest in police departments who do not respect and give dignity to the lives of Black and brown people. No justice, no peace. So there's a fierce urgency of now that we stay the tide, that we continue to persist, that we stay on the wall like Nehemiah until the work is done, and that we do it in the spirit of nonviolence, because violence has never solved a problem. It only creates new and different problems. Nonviolence ultimately is the way. In 1968, when my father spoke his last words about going up to the mountaintop and looking over and seeing the promised land, and saying that I may not get there with you. But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And he talked about not fearing any man, for his eyes had seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Shortly before that,
Amen.
he told those gathered there in Mason Temple in Memphis, Tennessee, if something happens to me here, now, don't stop here in Memphis. My young brothers and sisters, don't stop because of what happened to George Floyd. Because there's much more work to do to establish justice and equity in this nation. Don't stop until police reform happens and police accountability and chokeholds are banned. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop until neighborhoods, historically black neighborhoods, are stabilized and invested in instead of gentrified. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop until everyone who's able to vote exercises their citizenship right to vote. Don't stop. Don't stop until there is equity with black and brown people in the boardroom and in the C-suites. Don't stop.
Don't stop, baby.
Don't stop until we have equity in our educational system. Don't stop until we address criminal justice reform. Don't stop until our people can afford an education and not have to live the rest of their life paying back student debt. Don't stop until systemic racism is dismantled. There is a deconstruction in America and a reconstruction in America. Don't stop until they pay the debt on the check that my father presented in 1963 on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Don't stop.
Don't stop, baby.
Until there is justice and equity for black and brown people, not just in these United States, but all across the world that we live in, because we are in the world house. We are inextricably bound. And as my daddy said, we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny, and what affects one directly affects all indirectly. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Amen.
Don't stop. Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
No justice.
No justice.
No justice.
No peace.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Until there is never again the breath taken out of the life of any black and brown person in this nation and around the world. Don't stop, my brothers and sisters. No justice, no peace.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
You know, we can't continue this